In this lesson we're going to look at how to solve questions 3 and 4 of the Unit 3 Specimen 1 Nab at Higher Maths. So this question is about this pyramid with a rectangular base PQRS. We're told vectors S to P and S to T, and we're given those here. We need to work out what P to T is. Now if we look at P to T, P to T is a vector going from here, starting at P and finishing at T. So what we have to look for is another route to get from P to T by adding the vectors that we're given. Now the vectors that we're given are PS and ST. Now an alternative route to get from P to T is to go from P to S, like that, and then S to T. Remember, adding vectors nose to tail gives you the resultant vector here. So basically if we add these two vectors we're going to get from P to T, but there's only one problem. We were given S to P instead of P to S. So this vector here, P to S, is really the negative of S to P. So all you have to do is you have to add negative SP and add on ST to get this vector here. Negative SP is just change the signs basically, change the negative 3 to plus, the 18 to negative, and the negative 5 to plus. And then add on ST. And it's just a simple add after that, 3 add 4 and so on, and you get your answer. Okay, how do you do question 4? The diagram shows the vectors PR and PQ, gives you the points. We've got to find the size of the acute angle in here. A typical question that comes up in exams as well is 5 marks, Q to P to R. Right, so we want this angle in here. The way to get this is firstly to create a formula from the formulas in the formula sheet. Now the formula that they require is to get the cos of RPQ, you take the dot product of the two vectors and then divide it by the magnitude of each vectors multiplied. Now it's really important that you work out which way to go on this, so I've drawn a wee diagram here. Now when you multiply vectors for this top line, you need to go from this point here, the vertex of the angle, out the way each time. So you really want to deal with P to R multiplied by P to Q, and that's your top line. And then you just do the magnitudes in the bottom line. So after you've got the formula here, then really what you're doing is you're just working out PR and PQ and then feeding the information into this formula here and inverse cosing it. So let's work that out. P to R is R minus P. So you just look at your coordinates. You've got R and P, so you just take them away from each other. Okay, so R minus P, so 8 take away 4, negative 2 take away negative 3, watch that, that becomes plus 3, and 0 take away negative 3, that becomes plus 3 as well. Okay, and P to Q is Q take away P, so you just go back up here, and this is Q, and this is P, so you just fill them in, just make sure you're doing it accurately. 7 take away 4, that's 3. Negative 5 take away negative 3, that becomes an add, so negative 2. And 2 take away negative 3, that becomes an add as well, so that gets you the 5. So just watch your negatives. This is a calculator paper, so you could actually type into your calculator, but you should be able to do it without. Right, so that's worked out PR and PQ. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out PR dot PQ. Now to do this, you multiply these two numbers, and then you write that down, and then you add on this number times this number. So 1 times negative 2. Then you add on this number times this number. Okay, so that's 12. Take away 2 if you like, which is 10, and then add on 15, which gives you 25. So the top line here is 25. The next thing we have to do, we have to work out the magnitude of PR and the magnitude of PQ. Now the magnitude of PR is the square root of each individual part of the vector squared. So the square root of 4 squared plus 1 squared plus 3 squared. 4 squared plus 1, 4 squared is 16 plus 1 is 17 plus 9 is 26. So this comes to the square root of 26. No need to turn it into a decimal, just leave it like that. Do the same with the magnitude of PQ. Square root of 3 squared plus minus 2 squared plus 5 squared. So that's 9 add 4 add 25, which comes to 38. Just leave it as a root. And finally what we have to do is we have to feed all this information into your formula. Remember, this formula is derived from the formula sheet. The formula sheet gives most of it. You just need to do a wee bit of rearranging, a wee bit of dividing to get this. Right, so PR.PQ is 25. The magnitudes are root 26 and root 38. Now, to get our PQ, which is the question, we basically have to inverse cos all of this. 25 divided by root 26 multiplied by root 38. Now, if you find this difficult to input in your calculator, this is how you do it. Firstly, do 25 divided, just hit the square root button and type 26 times 38, just hit your equals. And it should pop out to be 0.795. You don't need to type the square root twice. Sometimes that makes it all complicated in the calculator. So just 25 divided, hit the square root button and 26 times 38, and you should get this. And after that, if you just push inverse cos or shift cos, you should come out as the right answer, 37.3. Make sure you practice that so you can do it properly in the test.